From ridiculously hot summers to roads that aren't fit to travel on, the reasons not to move to Arizona are as plentiful as the prickly needle-ridden cacti that plague the land. Arizona's hot, but not really in a good way. With temperatures that average 106 degrees in the midsummer, the heat is a killer, literally. 53 heat-related deaths have been confirmed so far this year, and another 20 are under investigation. The highest temperature on record is 128 degrees, which is not cool. The Grand Canyon State has the most days over 100 degrees than any other in the US, and there's really no rhyme or reason to the heat wave either. One year, at the end of September, it was 110, and in October, it was still in the hundreds. Go to the city, and you'll end up finding the temperature is up to 10 degrees hotter. December is the coldest month, but forget building a snowman because 66 is about as chilly as it gets. That means you're going to be sweating Christmas out, for real. Speaking of road construction, when the weather does end up getting too hot, workers have to work the night shift, or sometimes not at all. By the looks of things, they're choosing the not at all option. Here's where the rubber basically hits the road. Arizona has some of the worst infrastructures in the nation, with 21% of the roads in the state deemed unacceptable. When taxes aren't used to foot the bill for roads and bridges to be fixed, someone else ends up paying the price: the people who travel them. It's estimated that driving on broken roads can cost a whopping $576 per year in expenses from flat tires, shot shocks, and other pricey repairs. It's no wonder Arizona drivers have a long-standing reputation of being the country's worst. There is also the 63-mile stretch from Tucson to the Mexican border on Interstate 19, which is super speedy and dangerous. Some do make it in record timing, but others, they don't make it at all. An average of one related traffic death occurs every year, and with 90 miles per hour clock speeds taking place on the highway, it's no wonder why somebody might end up losing their life out there. So, if you're wise, steer clear of I-19, and maybe you should just steer clear of the entire state. Obviously, a lot of people hadn't heeded that warning, though. Recent mass migration from states like California and New York to Arizona is in a tailspin. In the past decade, about 760,000 new residents have flocked in, adding to an increase of about 12%. Snowbirds do come for the warmer weather, and house hunters come to get bigger homes for less money. But the problem is, there is problems. CNN actually ranks Arizona as the absolute worst state to build a nest in. So what are all these crazy birds thinking? Obviously they aren't. The state has a hard enough time tending to people who were already there, much less the new transplants. More than 13% live well below the poverty limit, and 19% of children under 18 are actually considered poor. So, what brings the flood of people to this state? One thing you can be sure of is that they didn't move there to get a breath of fresh air, because there's not any. With a name sounding like Arizona, you would expect better air, right? But no, the air quality here stinks, literally. In some places, it actually smells like rotten eggs and sulfur. Phoenix, which is the largest city in the Grand Canyon State, has been called out by the American Lung Association as having some of the worst air quality in the US, due to a smokestack of toxic fumes that are funneled into the atmosphere. The Japanese-based silicone water plant is actually one of the biggest culprits, and although it was slapped with a $300,000 fine, nothing's really changed, and that's just a drop in a bucket compared to the profits they make. Citizens and visitors alike are outraged, and many feel allowing that the air to be polluted is a crime. While that's still up in the air, there's no getting around the fact that other crimes are illegal, like robbery and property theft. Out of every 100,000 people, 455 will end up suffering from a violent crime. The prison population has grown twice as fast as the state's population did in the past since, which is actually a lot. Despite the increase in punishment, Arizona's high crime rate continues to be downright sickening. But being sick is a big problem here too, because the healthcare system is in desperate need of a real shot in the arm. Low public health funding is one of the many reasons why it's the worst in the nation, and that's according to 27 Tempo, a Wall Street index that measures healthcare systems in every state. The number of residents without healthcare insurance, the access to doctors, dentists, and mental health care providers, and the priority placed on healthcare are other things taken into consideration. Honestly, Arizona failed the test in all those areas. Even the schools in the state flunk out. Wallet Hub recently reported that it has the third worst public education system in the U.S. for 3 years running. Class size, safety, funding, performance, and even teacher qualifications were some of the things that were all graded. The student-to-teacher ratio is 20-1, which is horrible considering the U.S. average is just 15-1. Teacher pay is meager, and the money spent per student doesn't add up to much either. The dropout rate is 7.8, which is the highest in the nation. And those that do make it to college will end up being put to the test because there's some serious flaws in the system at one of the most popular universities, Arizona State. The campus is overcrowded, classrooms often have 60 students in them, and it's basically elbow to elbow in the lunchroom. Only 29% of students actually graduate. Ironically enough, ASU is said to be a renowned business school, yet certainly doesn't make the grade for conducting its own business. Supposedly it has a great engineering program too, but it just can't seem to manage to build a school with enough room to house its students. Ah yes, homes. You can definitely find homes for sale, but it's gonna cost you. Which may come as a surprise because Arizona is in the middle of the desert, for crying out loud. The median home prices soar well above $385,000. That's 13% higher than the national average. Prices do vary though, depending on the city you're in. Flagstaff, for example, is 36% higher because you can actually find work there, while Bullhead City is an ultra affordable 9%, but hey, good luck trying to find a job. You might be surprised to learn that the city of Surprise, the price of housing is just 18% lower than the national average. But be prepared for more surprises than just the name. It's got a high crime rate, mainly property crimes, and the homes are affordable and have swimming pools, but the pools end up taking up the entire yard. Furthermore, the people are said to be very unaccepting of new residents, especially when they're from a different race. Arizona is actually full of prejudiced people. So much so that a documentary was done on the subject a few years back titled "You Racist Sexist Bigot." Hispanics make up over 40% of the population, but that doesn't stop people from being prejudiced against them or mean that they are prejudiced against non-Hispanics. Arizona is one of the few states where women actually outnumber men. In fact, close to 20% are more than educated, but there's also a huge gender pay gap, and the state ranks 12th in the nation for pay inequality, even though there are more females than men in the workforce. The earning gap is about $10,157 less in median earnings and is way worse for women of color. As far as diversity and inclusion go, it has been said that you'd be better off to live in any other state if you have any sort of race, religion, or sexual connection, but that's a sticky subject. Another sticky subject is the cacti. Who wants to live in a state where cactuses grow like trees? Cacti are quite popular in Arizona, probably because they store large amounts of water and water is scarce, which is yet another drawback of the parked place. 83 species of cacti can be found in the state, with names like the prickly pear and jumping cholla. Just the names alone are painfully distressing. Arizonans have kind of had a love affair with cacti ever since it was brought back in 1912, and even before it was a territory. There's a series about it as well. The saguaro cactus is the state flower and can tower as tall as 50 feet. Digging cacti up can get you in trouble though, as it's a class 4 felony and carries a hefty fine. It's also illegal to shoot a cactus, ram one with your pickup truck, or in some places, even touch one. You're not even allowed to cut a cactus, yet for some reason, it's allowed to poke you.